Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Jan of Kaduna. In this channel we talk about environmental sustainability, especially from a Nigerian point of view. Like in today's video where I'll be discussing the introduction of the electric buses in Lagos State. Is it worth it? Is it sustainable? Does it make sense? Stay tuned and find out. So Lagos is one of Africa's most populous cities with a population of over 25 million. Over the last 10 years, the number of cars on the streets of Lagos has quadrupled. And it is not even going to slow down because the population of Lagos is estimated that in the year 2100, that is 2100, the Lagos population is estimated to be around 100 million residents. So that means there will be more cars or more vehicles on the streets to cater to this growing population. Transportation is one of the biggest contributors to carbon emissions around the world, and Lagos is not left out, being that it is this populated. It is a mega city on its right. People have to move from one place to the other. Carbon emissions is giving up. Lagos is also one of the 1,036 cities in the world that has signed the United Nations Race to Zero campaign. And this campaign is to help realize the net zero by the year 2050. So it was kind of no surprise when the Lagos state government announced that it was introducing electric buses to its public transportation system. On the 30th of April 2023, the governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, through his official Twitter account, announced they were receiving the first set of electric buses to the Lagos Mass Transit Master Plan, and this was in line to modernize almost every aspect of Lagos. That is a welcome development. And he also stated in this tweet that they had partnered with Owando so that they will be able to provide the charging stations in malls and like strategic areas that these electric buses could be charged with. And that was also a welcome development. They also stated that the BRT buses that they use, which are like diesel buses that they use, like the average daily use distance that these BRT buses take, like 200 kilometers, and these electric buses, they take about like 300 to 350 kilometers on a single charge. So you're like, that means they can even do the work safe. Some people are like, yeah, well, it's good. Some people are like, but we don't even have light. How can this even happen? Well, that's what this video is about. Whether it is sustainable or not sustainable, based on my non-expert view. So as an environmentalist, I would say, this is a very welcome development, especially as Nigeria has this energy transition plan where there are like different steps for them to be able to meet up to net zero targets by the year 2060 and all that. So for a state like Lagos, that is a mega city in Nigeria, taking this bold step in their public transportation systems, I'm like, they are doing well. And also the fact that they even started with public transportation, I believe that what is more sustainable in the transportation system is investing heavily in public transportation so that more people can be able to rely on the public transportation system. Instead of 100 people having 100 cars, we can have 100 people in one bus. As long as it's reliable, it's safe and all that. Why can't we? So to me, I was like, it's great that they're even coming through this angle. But the Nigerian part of me says this. So Nigeria, we still have epileptic power supply issues. Our power system is still doing like this, it is turning on its own. We still have parts of Nigeria that are not even connected to electricity. We also have situations where for days they'll tell you the power grid has collapsed and there is no power like almost throughout the country, and that is how it is with Nigeria. So now here you're saying electric buses. So these charging stations, how are they going to be powered? Are they going to be powered using solar energy or other renewable sources, or they're still going to be using the same NEPA that all of us are using that takes like our own light? also as an environmentalist, partly, there's still a gray area when it comes to how sustainable electric vehicles are, being that a lot of materials that are needed to do these vehicles sometimes come from the most unsustainable ways. So I'm still like, when it comes to electric vehicles in general. Also, as a Nigerian, if you live in Nigeria, even if you don't live in Lagos, you know how bad the traffic situation in Lagos is like I'm sure one of the first things people know Lagos for is how bad their traffics are. The traffic congestions are mad. So now these electric buses, you say the BRT buses, like average daily use, they take like up to like 200 to 50 kilometers. Okay. And these electric vehicles take like 300, 350 kilometers. Okay. But that data, is it inclusive of the time that they spend in traffic? That's also something we need to understand. Is this inclusive of the time they spend in traffic? Lagosians spending 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours in traffic is no news to them. It's something that is like it's something that is very common there. So what happens to these electric buses when they are now stuck in traffic for like 2, 3 hours? Does it affect the daily use time? And if that affects that time, that means their daily use is going to be more than 200 kilometers, and that means it could be more than 350 kilometers in a day. So that means one supercharge cannot be enough for them. So how are they going to be able to navigate towards the nearest charging station when they are in the middle of traffic? Though I also did some research, and I found out that the charge of these batteries for the electric vehicles is needed to move the vehicles. So when the vehicle is like stationary, it doesn't use as much battery charge. But other units in the vehicles like air conditioning, radio, powering the windows to go up and down, all these are used from the battery. So it could also affect the battery charge, but it might just be minimally. But still, we need to understand that, is this still going to affect the overall daily use? And what happens when the electric bus is stuck in traffic for 6 hours? Also, the charging stations, at the moment we do not know like where these charging stations are going to be situated. During the governor's tweet, he stated that they're going to be one day are going to place like these charging stations around malls and like around malls. So I hope that it will be very convenient and easy for these buses to be able to navigate towards those charging stations, especially when they are in the traffic situation and the battery is almost running down. Now let's talk about the cost of these electric buses. They do not come cheap. They do not come cheap. As of when the governor was talking about the electric buses, they were going to receive 2 electric buses from Yutong. That is the manufacturer, Yutong. So they're going to receive these 2 electric buses to test run, to test run the whole thing, and that's great. The fact that they're even starting it like minimally, they're not going all fully invested in it. According to my research, the electric buses cost between $400,000 to $500,000. And if you convert it to me, I'm using black market rate. If you convert it to black market rate, you're talking about 295 million naira to like almost 400 million naira. That's the range for one bus. So Lagos are collecting 2 buses. They are ordering 2 buses. So you're talking about over 1 billion naira for just 2 buses. Now, the charging stations also do not come cheap. I was made to understand there are like 3 levels of charging stations, but because of the type of buses that they're buying, I believe they are going to use the level 2 and level 3 type of charging stations. And those levels of charging stations, a unit of like level 2 charging station, a single unit of a level 2 charging station costs about $6,000, which is around like 2.7 million. And a single unit of a level 3 charging station will be around $30,000, which is around like 13.8 million naira. These are like very, very expensive. So in the governor's tweet, he talked about how this was going to be cost effective for their citizens. But as this thing is, you're spending over 1 billion naira for 2 buses. So how is that going to relate with the cost of transportation for your citizens? Are there going to be subsidies? Are there going to be subsidies for the public transportation sector? Is the government going to come in so that the cost of transportation using these electric buses will be subsidized? Because I'm talking from the average Nigerian point of view, which I think I'm part of. We do not have plenty money in our pockets. And if, for instance, using BRT buses, to go from one point to the other is like 500 naira. And then for that same distance, using an electric bus is like 2,000 naira. More people are going to go with the 600 naira, or more people are going to go with the 500 naira on than with your 2,000 naira for the same route. So unless the government are going to step in and subsidize the cost of this entire project, it might be dead on arrival because they're not going to have as much customers as they will need, and the purpose of bringing it in might be defeated. I'm happy that the Lagos state government are doing this, and I am yearning to see what like these two electric buses, how they're going to fare in like how they're going to fare in Lagos. And I believe that this is going to be like the blueprint for other states to adopt, to see whether they could be able to introduce electric vehicles into Nigeria, and also other alternative energy sources within Nigeria, especially as we are trying to transition to clean energy. Also, it is very important to note that these clean energy alternatives are very expensive. As I've already done the math for you, just two electric buses is like over 1 billion naira. Now you can imagine adopting this in full scale. The Lagos state government's plan is to introduce like 12,000 electric buses in the next 7 years. So you know that it is no small money, and it is very, very capital intensive. So that's why sometimes when people are talking about how Africa should like adopt clean energy alternatives and all, they should also understand that it is not cheap. And that may be also another issue that may be hindering us from adopting all these clean energy alternatives, because we don't get the money like that. But at the same time, I hope that if this is successful in Lagos, and they're able to like crack how they're going to be able to finance this project and all, I hope that other states can be able to adopt it, and we could look inwards into how we could be able to produce these vehicles too. Even though Lagos state government also have a plan to like have an electric vehicle assembling plant in Lagos, but apart from just assembling, I hope that we could be able to produce these things. We have the lithium for these batteries in Nigeria, and if we could be able to invest in ourselves and see how we could produce these things, why not? But before we do like single units like electric vehicles, let's do more of the electric buses and invest more in public transportation systems. That is more sustainable. If you enjoyed this video up to now, thank you very much, and I'll leave some other resources that I came across while I was putting this video together in the comment section down below, so that you could read further to fully understand what the introduction of these electric buses in Lagos means for Lagos state and Nigeria in general. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you learned anything new, please tell me what you learned in the comment section down below. I love to read them. Until my next video, remember that you can be the change that you want to see. Jan of Kaduna, signing out.